How do we identify if it's a generational curse in a family or if it's simply a bad habit?
So I'm getting ready to release a book in February, Relationships in the Bloody Trail, Escaping the Powers of Spiritual Narcissism, where I deal with this generational curse piece and how you look at family traits, how you look at family habits and family behaviors, and verify whether it's a generational issue or whether it's just a bad habit. But when you have the mother, the father, the children, all of the children being dysfunctional, and then it goes into a third generation where the grandchildren are dysfunctional as well, it is safe to say that there's some vile generational trauma at that point. If it's just a bad habit, usually bad habits you can address and resolve easily. Again, if it's generational trauma, that's more wrestling, unnerving, a loosing that you have to get yourself out of and from in order to deal with generational trauma, because you're not just dealing with self, you're dealing with selves over time.
That's good. That's good. I'm going to pencil that one. I like that. Anybody else have thoughts on this? We're not just dealing with self, we're dealing with selves. Prolific. Anybody else?
I have, when the prophet was saying the generational curse piece, I don't really believe in generational curses. Now, I believe, like she said, there could be a generational pattern, but I think we lean too heavily on the word generational curse. And the reason that I say that is most people are coming from that one particular scripture in the Bible, but they haven't got the full context of it, where it's talking about this iniquity will be visited on up until the third and the fourth generation. But if you roll on over, still in the Old Testament, to Ezekiel chapter 18, it's saying a father and his sins will be accounted to them individually. So God is no longer holding them accountable because the dispensation has already changed by that time. And that is even before Christ, who is the curse breaker. So I think a lot of people lean into that because that's the easy way not to be disciplined, to change the patterns that she's talking about and that she's going to be writing about. But I don't believe that we're under any curses. I believe you can change if you want to change. Now, if you open a door into that sin, and if you know everybody in your family gambles and you keep going on down to Choctaw or wherever, then yeah, you got a propensity already on there, but it's not a definite. You know, if you know everybody get pregnant at 15, then you might want to be looking around 15 like, uh-oh, you know, I know what it is, you know, I can stop said curse, said this. In my family, I'm the only granddaughter that went to college and graduated until, you know, now a great granddaughter has. So that could be considered what some people would have allowed to stop them as a generational curse. Also, I'm one of the only ones that's married, you know, and happily married and been married, 21 years. So I think that's an excuse for a lot of people. Not saying that you might not have a door that you might have opened to go back into that. But when they're using that scripture out of context, I just don't believe it. I think it's just a typical pattern that they didn't have the discipline to break or the know-how or haven't came into that level of understanding yet.